Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Swagman Chinook 2-bike platform rack here on our 2014 Toyota Prius V. So if you're looking for a bike rack that can fit an 1.25" hitch receiver or 2" hitch receiver, it's affordable and it has slightly more weight capacity than your usual affordable lightweight bike racks, that's where the Swagman Chinook comes in handy. Now it doesn't have some other premium features and we will talk about those, but we're going to focus on our Prius V today so we can talk about how it fits with the vehicle. That way you can get the best fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your car. The first feature we're going to take a look at is the tilt away feature. So we have this lever right over here. You're going to want to pull that lever and then just let the bike rack drop down to a tilt. So I want to make sure that's up. There we go. And now this can go down. Why would you tilt your bike rack away? Well, if you want to open up your hatch even with your bikes on. So you can see here how we have plenty of clearance between our door, our pedals, and our handlebars. I can reach in here, grab whatever I need, whether it's my helmets, my bags, put away my groceries. I can do so real quick without having to take the bikes off, and then I just lift up on this bike rack and you can see how it catches it into place, and now I'm ready to hit the road. So what types of bikes can you carry with this rack? Well, this has an impressive weight capacity of 45 pounds per bike. I say that's impressive because most of the time your entry-level bike racks are limited to 35 pounds per bike. Plus, if you have this in a class 1 hitch receiver, you usually don't get that weight capacity. But this one does. Now, the way it holds on to our bike is we have 3 touch points. So 1 and 2 are going to be our wheel straps. Those are actually what's taking most of the weight of the bike. But then for the center, you have a frame mount, and that's just going to be mainly a stabilizing force, but you also have locks on these, so that way you can secure the bike to the rack. And when you want to take the bike off, you actually start over by the wheel strap. So notice here how I just press that lever, and then I can lift up on that strap, and then that just pops right out of the way. So we're going to do 1 and then 2. And with those released, we can now go over to the frame mount. Now, I prefer wheel mounted bike racks just because it's easier that way. But notice how I actually have a special trick to this. If you have your larger 45-pound bike, you can go ahead, take off the hooks entirely, and then just lower the mast. Or you can loosen it just enough where you can tilt it out of the way. Let's see how much space we have here with our Prius V. With that tilted, I now can maneuver around that mast, around the rack, and then we're ready to go on a bike ride. So a little bit more process there, but definitely doable. With the bike off, we get to take a closer look at the rack itself. So we do have a maximum wheelbase of 50 inches. You can adjust the wheelbase by just turning these knobs and then moving these cradles back and forth. Now you do have this strap that goes over those wheels. Notice how you have this stabilizing block on top. That's just to give you that extra force and traction onto the wheels as you strap it down. Notice how those cradles are shaped though. So you have those little grooves on the inside for your thin road bike tires, and the maximum tire width you can carry with these metal cradles are going to be up to 3 inches. If you have wider tires up to 5 inches, go ahead and get those fat bike strap adapters as well as cradle adapters to match. And when you're not planning on setting up your bikes, you can go ahead and fold this mast down. So you are going to have to push a little bit on the mast in order to release it as you pull that lever, and then just drop that down, and then go ahead, move this in so it's out of the way. Now this is going to add a little bit of length up to the back of your Prius V. So let's take some measurements to see exactly how much. I'm going to measure from our bumper here to the end of the cradle, and that sits at 26 inches. So technically it's a compact bike rack, doesn't take up as much space, but still a measurement to keep in mind when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a tight spot. Don't forget that you now have 2 bikes and a bike rack behind you. With where your hitch sits on your car, you are going to have a little bit of an issue with ground clearance because it is kind of low. So measuring for ground clearance on our rack, where your bike is going to sit at the end of the rack, it's 20.25 inches. Compare that to the edge or the end of our shank, and that's 11.25 inches. So you can see here how this has a shank rise. That way your bikes are higher up off the ground. Very helpful for when you need to go up those steep inclines like your driveways or your really steep hills. Now, what if you're not planning on going out for a bike ride just yet, but you also don't want to take your bike rack off? This is still technically lightweight, not as lightweight as, let's say, the Hollywood Racks Destination or the Swagman XC2. So you would want to go ahead and put it into the compact or portable position. Remember that lever we pulled earlier to tilt it away? We'll pull it again, but this time lift up on the rack, and you can see how it folds up against the vehicle. So taking for some measurements for closest point, that's going to be from the bumper to the hinge. It's going to be 3.5 inches. The length this now adds to the end of our rack or end of our car is going to be 16 inches. Big difference compared to when this is folded down. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind you all the time? Well, for one, it's really cool to see that you can open up your hatch with this bike rack on, or even in the folded up position. So you aren't losing your access to your cargo there. Also, with it folded up, it's obvious that your rear window is visible, your taillights are visible, even your license plate and your backup camera is visible. So as you're backing up, you will still be able to see all that view behind you, and you're legal on the road. Now, this does have an 1.25 inch shank with an included 2-inch hitch adapter. So if you do happen to have the 1.25 inch hitch receiver on your Prius, and I do recommend trying to get the 2-inch Eco hitch like I did, this is gonna fit. So you pop that right into your hitch, and then you're gonna use this anti-rattle bolt to secure the bike rack. So that's going to use a 3/4 inch socket or a wrench. We have extras here at eTrailer if you want to add that on to this bike rack. And then you have a lock at the end. So that lock is going to be key to the locks you can find on the masts themselves. So use one of these two keys to both secure your bikes and your bike rack. With that anti-rattle bolt in there, you can see as I try to shake our bike rack back and forth, I take out most of the sway. You are going to have a little bit of up and down motion though because of that adapter. So just keep that in mind. Make sure to tighten it down all the time. So my personal thoughts about the Swagman Chinook is that this is a really good option if you do have that 1.25 inch hitch receiver, but you still want to carry around those slightly heavier bikes. Now, if you have extra heavy electric bikes, please try to get the 2-inch hitch if possible, because that gives you a lot more options. But this still checks off pretty much all of those boxes. You have the locks, you have a relatively lightweight bike rack, and you have a 45-pound weight capacity per bike. And that was a look right here at our Swagman Chinook 2-bike platform rack on our 2014 Toyota Prius V. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoy the journey.